What's good, everybody? Today we're doing roster update predictions, and my schedule's been kind of out of whack because we went on vacation. I'm sorry that this is not coming on Sunday. I'm sorry that things have been kind of mixed up, but we had a great time in Vegas. The next roster update is going to be the final roster update of the regular season. It's coming as soon as the season ends. Everybody's assuming that it's going to be Friday, October 7th. They haven't officially announced it yet, so we don't know for sure exactly what day it's coming, but it's going to be one of the final chances you get to make a ton of stubs on investments, because there will only be one more roster update after this one, and that's going to be when the World Series ends. If you like this sort of content, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, it helps out a ton, and let's jump right into it. The first potential diamond candidate that we're talking about is Evan Phillips. Since the last roster update, 4.76 hits per nine, 14.29 Ks per nine, and a 1.59 walks per nine. Evan Phillips has a golden opportunity to get that Ks per nine attribute and the walks per nine attribute to get boosted up. With 4.76 hits per nine, his 110 hits per nine should stay exactly where it is. Evan Phillips is on his way to becoming a brand new diamond. Munoz is a guy that we've liked on quite a few of the past few videos. 4.5 hits per nine, 9.00 Ks per nine, and no walks at all given up, all since the last roster update. As you can see, his biggest room for growth is that walks per nine attribute. 71 should get some sort of boost, considering he's walked absolutely nobody since the last roster update. 96 Ks per nine is probably going to stay around the same, but that hits per nine attribute should also get a boost because of his low 4.5 hits per nine. Munoz is a great candidate to go diamond. Jansen is another great possibility at diamond. He's at an 83 overall. I don't know if his stats are quite gonna get him the bump all the way to 85. And here's my advice on Jansen. The Blue Jays are gonna be in the playoffs, so Jansen is a great investment candidate because since the last roster update, he's had a 409 average versus righties with 1 home run and 4 doubles. We should see some sort of increase to his power versus right and his contact versus right. His power maybe would only get a small increase, but that contact really should get a much bigger bump than the 45 that it's at. If he doesn't get all the way to diamond, Jansen's a great guy to hold on to your investments if he only gets the bump up to 84 or whatever, because the Blue Jays are going to be in the playoffs. If Jansen gets hot in the playoffs, then he is going to get a nice solid upgrade for that final roster update. So we're kind of trying to make sure that we look at playoff candidates as well. And if you do have investments in playoff guys, you might want to hang on to them without selling them right away. Woodruff is our fourth possible diamond candidate. He's got a 5.14 hits per nine, 13.5 Ks per nine, and 1.93 walks per nine, all since the last roster update. All those numbers should actually see an improvement in all 3 of those attributes on this card. 5.14 hits per nine should see a slight increase to that 79 hits per nine attribute, and his strikeouts per nine should get a huge boost, and the walks per nine sitting there at 70 with 1.93 since the last roster update. Woodruff has a solid chance to get that a boost. And Woodruff also has a history of being a live series diamond, so SDS likes to put a little more stock into that. They trust those guys a little more, so we could very well see Woodruff get the +2 bump up to diamond. And our final diamond candidate is Javier, who has been an absolute animal since the last roster update. 2.12 hits per nine, 11.65 Ks per nine, and 2.12 walks per nine. That hits per nine number is already really high, but with 2.12, we should actually see a slight increase to his hits per nine attribute. His Ks per nine deserves higher than 81, and that walks per nine number is the worst one at 57. Well, with under 2 walks per nine since the last update, Christian Javier should get a nice solid boost to that walks per nine attribute. Next, we're talking about the mid to high gold candidates. The first guy I want to talk about is Bryan Reynolds. Since the last update, 351 average versus righties with 3 home runs and 2 doubles. That 62 attribute on contact versus right is not good enough considering the numbers he's been putting up. We need to see an increase in that, and we should also see an increase to his power versus right. Bryan Reynolds also has a 333 average versus lefties, so we may very well see an increase to his contact versus left as well. Bryan Reynolds should get a solid increase, and he should be a mid gold by the end of the update. Bobby Witt Jr. is our next potential mid gold candidate. Bobby Witt has a 366 average versus righties with 4 doubles since the last roster update. That 366 average should see some sort of contact versus right boost. If Bobby Witt can hit another home run or 2 in the next week or so before the roster update, well, we could see a slight bump up in power versus right. But as you can see on his inside edge right now, he's got a +5 to his contact right and a +5 to his power right, and he gets a +2 overall boost. Bobby Witt with the 366 average should get such a solid contact versus right boost that he should go up at least 1 overall. Isaac Paredes is one of those guys that's been kind of on and off hot. He started to get a little better, and I could see a possible bump up and get him an increase to get to that mid gold level. Since the last roster update, Paredes has a 250 average versus righties with 2 home runs and 3 doubles. We should definitely see an increase to that contact number at 35. A 250 average isn't the most impressive thing, but when his attribute is all the way down at 35, we should see a nice little boost to it. But 2 home runs and 3 doubles should also see us getting a solid boost to his power versus right. Isaac Paredes should get a bump up to like 82-ish. He should get to like 82, 83, hopefully. And the thing with Paredes is this is a guy that I'm holding on to through the playoffs. Jesus Lizardo is our next possible mid-gold candidate. Since the last roster update, a 5.68 hits per nine, 12.08 Ks per nine, and 1.42 walks per nine. The places that he has room to grow the most in is Ks per nine and walks per nine. Well, with those numbers, we should see a nice increase to his Ks per nine, and honestly, he deserves a solid boost to that walks per nine as well. Jesus Lizardo should get a bump up to mid gold. We talked about Ahmed Rosario on the last roster update. I think he's in line for a nice little overall boost, get himself up to an 82-83 since the last roster update. A 346 average versus righties with 2 home runs, 2 triples, and a double. We should see a boost to that contact versus right, and we should see a healthy increase to his power versus right. Ahmed Rosario is definitely going to go up a little bit. And our final mid-gold candidate is George Springer, who has been on fire for the past couple weeks. Since the last roster update, a 270 average versus righties with 2 home runs, 1 triple, and 3 doubles. That should let us see an increase to at least his power versus right. Honestly, a 270 average should maybe get a little bit of a boost to his contact versus right as well. And he's got a 333 average versus lefties also with 2 home runs, and that's the place that he has the most room to grow, is those numbers versus lefties. 333 average versus lefties should get a solid boost to that 53 number, and the 2 home runs in a limited amount of at bats, we should definitely see an increase to his power versus left as well. So those are my roster update predictions for the week. Remember, this is the second to last roster update, and the next one is gonna be after the World Series, so you don't want to miss out on this. Let me know in the comment section below if there's anybody I forgot, or tell me on Twitch. I'm on there Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 p.m. Eastern time. I appreciate you guys watching, and good luck making stubs.